Hello, hello. So for this video, I wanted to try to do something kind of draft oriented with the second preview booster box I got from UVS Games ahead of the Jet Baron release. Today, as we're recording, the pre-releases have begun. I had a little midnight pre-release, it was pretty fun. But I don't really know how well this is going to go. This could be a disaster, in which case I guess I just won't upload it or whatever, but we're going to try something. And so what I figured I'd do is I want to try to simulate like the start of a little 4-person draft pod. Now, obviously, going through every pick of all 6 packs for 4 different things would be really like a messy headache, and the last 3 picks of any given pack aren't that interesting, and I don't know. We're just trying to use this as a conduit to think about draft a little bit more so than to, put myself forward as any sort of expert. I've drafted this set 0 times. I've drafted other sets 1 to 2 times, right? But this is, a more limited friendly set than ones in the past. So, I hope stores do give draft a shot. We might even see some, draft store provisionals or something like that down the road. It is something you could imagine happening with this set. So I wanted to sort of get us off to a start and try to just do something with these packs to try to start thinking about draft. Now, if you're not familiar in this game, the way that the drafting currently works is you open a pack, you take the character slot, whatever character's in the character slot, you take that card, no matter what. And I guess that could be an XR or an alternate character at this point for this set, or even, I believe the Chromes take up character slots, which, play your Chrome character card in the draft is a pretty good play. But in any case, you take your character card and then you pick a card from the pack and you pass it on, and then you take a card and you pass it on the way most card game drafts work. But you have to play, your deck is what they call loose training. You have to play cards that share at least one symbol with your character. And the way this works out is for any given character, they're going to have access to 50 to 60 some odd, 62, 63% of the commons and uncommons are going to be playable by any given character. Most of them are in the high 50s, low 60s. There's a couple in this set, Deku and Ryukyu, because they share 2 symbols. The way it works out is they're closer to the low 50s. And Kami and Anasa are also down there. But everyone else is in the high 50s, low 60s. And even, your Deku, your Ryukyu and whatnot, there's still plenty of cards available for them to play. So don't feel too pressured to not draft them or anything like that. Just be aware of that they do have a few less cards. So, generally speaking, at least in my past experience with other sets, if you pick a character and you just try to force it and just draft nothing but cards that they can play, you're not really going to have a problem finding 40 playable cards. It is really hard to read any sort of signaling or anything, in terms of trying to guess, I think these cards are open in this game with the way it works out, especially if, people, or you're trying to hard lock a character after the first pack or something, then you don't even know what the people you're passing to are doing, right? It sort of takes 2 full packs before you can even begin to guess at an idea. So the way I'm thinking I want to approach draft, at least starting out, is I think for the first 2 packs, you should be able to just sort of take the best cards that you see. And then after you open your 3rd character, you can look at the 3 characters you have, you can look at what you've picked up. There should be some, just naturally, there should be some amount of biasing of the cards that you've gotten relative to what other people are taking that might give you some information about what you're more likely to see more of symbol-wise. And then you can pick your character, right, out of those 3 that you've gotten. Unless, if you pack 1, you open it up and it's, I don't know, if you've decided that you think Edgeshot is by far the best character to play in draft, then you open them in the pack 1 and you just want to hard force it, you can do that, right? But if you open a Dabi or something that's low on the edge that you could play this, but you might not, then you say, okay, I'm just going to take the best cards I see. When in doubt, I'll probably bias my choice towards something that Dabi can play, but we're just going to try and take good cards for a little while and see what we have after we see our 3rd character. And then you'll probably, after those first 2 packs, no matter what of the 3 characters you pick, you'll probably have at least 8 to 12 cards that you can play, and then you just need to fill out of the remaining 40 cards you're going to see in the draft. You just need to find 30 of them when 55% of the card pool is stuff that you can play, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem to fill out your deck in theory. that's kind of what I'm thinking. And so for here, what we have 4 make-believe players. Obviously, they're gonna, I'm gonna know what other people are drafting or whatever. But we're just gonna do like the first, let's say 4 picks of each pack. Just get a look at some packs saying, oh, I think I'd take this card for this reason. And then we'll get into the third pack. They'll all have a character. Well, obviously, we'll have 8 previous picked cards to look at instead of 20 or whatever, but that's kind of how I want to do this. So that said, we'll get underway and we'll see how this goes. So player 1 up here, they're going to open their pack. And their character is Kyoka Jiro. Right, so Jiro in draft, probably not a character you want to snap commit to, pack 1, pick 1, but definitely playable. Provided you can find you get enough damage output and stuff just from your attacks on their own. So you automatically set this Jiro aside. They just have this. I think I'm gonna get all these other packs out of the way, probably. Is how we'll do this. And then for our first pick for this player, so I think the way I want to start by approaching this is, I think I want to prioritize attacks that can sort of carry you to win games. Oh my god, that's a XR snap out of it. Very nice. That's a good pull. We have a fiber web combo. So I want to prioritize attacks that can sort of solve my offense for me in case I don't get a character that puts a bunch of damage on things. And then pretty much any really good to medium foundation, and then any medium attacks, and then, Shaft or whatever. Because it can be pretty easy to overdraft attacks when you're drafting, at least, the few times that I've done it. So out of this pack, unless one of these foundations is really godlike, and maybe Dangerous Hybrid qualifies in this format, that card's it's pretty nice to have the momentum done, but really, all told, I guess we could consider snap out of it, but then, we have to know that we're playing a student. We're not necessarily guaranteed to have good things to unflip. We'll assume we're not just drafting for value here. We could certainly convince ourselves to just take this, right? Pack 1, pick 1. But I think I'm going to go ahead and grab Gusty Buffet. It's a nice high damage, 5 or 4 diff move. Comes with the low zone. One thing I haven't done that you probably do if you really want to be serious about drafting is like go take a look at the zone distribution of attacks and stuff, but we're just going to assume low continues to be the least common zone, and that this is a pretty high quality one to pick up. So we're gonna take Gusty Buffet with our first pick for this one. And this one's gonna get passed clockwise. Let's get this arranged up here. So here's player 1 over here. Player 2 is getting this pack, but they have to make their first pick. And I'll probably talk less and less about like big picture pick strategy as we go here. So their first character is alright, also a Jiro too. And this can happen, right? You have no idea if the person you're passing to could be on the same character you are, and they'd probably still find cards. Now, same logic. We're not going to hard lock Jiro 2 here. We're going to take a look. Oh my god, we got 2 back-to-back altruism both. Blue Flame Torment is a thing we may very well first pick, but there are some really nice attacks that we might pick over it, but we don't see them here, right? Velocity Rush is a common attack that is certainly a win game button. Again, I don't know if any foundations are going to be crazy enough to pass Blue Flame Torment. Does seem the case, and this is the thing, right? The character we open cannot play this card, but we're going to see 2 more characters before we really have to decide on one, and there's a decent chance they'll be able to play it, and it's not gonna, the way this game works, it's not going to completely ruin us if we don't use our first pick, right? So we're going to go ahead and take the Blue Flame Torment for this player. And I think this might work. I'm going to forget the contents of the packs as I go. So I'm not even... Maybe do it. So we'll do player 3 down here. Their character is Hawks. Alright, this is an interesting proposition, right? You could decide that you want to hard lock into playing Hawks and just go hunting for feathers, which will probably make their way around. But, once again, sort of like Jiro, you have some nice speed stats on your character, but you're going to have to find the damage. Alright, we've Gently Sandwiched, not quite the big blowout rare that Blue Flame Torment is attack-wise. A little tricky to use. Oh, we do have a Velocity Rush. That is almost certainly what we're taking here. You know, once again, I think... I don't know if there are going to be any, like, bomb foundations in this set. Like I said before, because it gives you a way to spend momentum pretty effectively on a nicely statted foundation, I think Dangerous Hybrid is going to be a pretty high pick, but we're taking Velocity Rush. We don't think too hard about that one. You see that card, you take it. And so none of these first three packs have a character that we feel really good about hard committing to. So let's see if maybe if we get one here, we can change it up a little bit. Best Genist. That is an interesting question. So I just won a sealed Midnight pre-release with Best Genist. But that said, I still don't know if he's... You know, again, you don't have to hard luck chase stuff for him. So, you know, pack 1. Airy Smiles. Interesting question in draft, how good that card is. Do we have any crazy attacks? Because we might be perfectly happy to just go ahead and take that Airy Smiles. Yeah, none of these attacks are like big offense drivers. Airy Smiles can certainly, you know, mess up an attack turn. Plays really nice with Best Genist, who probably... The Best Genist player is probably more leaning towards their character coming out of the gate than the other three are, although the Hawks player is probably going to be keeping in mind that they might take feathers a little bit higher, but I think we are going to take the Airy Smiles here. And so coming up here, this person's getting their second pick, right? So they've taken Gusty Buffett. And we have the Jiro here, but obviously unless we open her alternate win condition rare, then the only way we're going to do stuff with these applause counters is if we find the guitar. But we might be thinking about that anyway. We have, you know, the attacks here aren't that impressive. We might see, is there any really good foundation we could be playing? Problem solving is not a bad one. Gets our span. We have 2 1-man Infernos in this pack. That's weird. Surprising Skill, a little bit more of a constructed card than a draft card. This is interesting. You are going to need, so most spams are going to be common, so you usually don't have too much of a problem finding too much spam, but the way drafts tend to go, if other players start prioritizing spam, it can run dry on you. I don't know if we... Heroic Passion is a hard one to get your head around. I don't think too many characters outside of Anasa are going to have ways to commit it as cost. I'm pretty sure we're just taking problem solving here. Just a good quality spam that we're not going to feel bad about. So we'll take that and pass this. Alright, so we have our Blue Flame Torment player who's opened Jiro, but is already thinking a little bit about whether we want to play her or not. Alright, and when we see, we're like, what the heck did you take first? You're passing these two, right? Fiber Web combo, we're probably not going to be able to construct the combo here, but it is a 4-low for a bunch of damage. Which is pretty valid. The Dangerous Hybrid, this is a tough pick, I think. So we're kind of in a take the best card mode. We've already grabbed a Blue Flame Torment. We have multiple pretty good options here. Even Hula Hoop being a 4/mid-7. We have a Throw here we could be playing. This is a common, so we might see more of those. We have a Momentum Spender on our very first attack. We picked Snap Out of It could be blank if we don't end up playing a Student. I think I kind of want Fiber Web combo here. We're just going to keep up the low zone pressure. You know, probably going to be able to be a 4-low for 5 at a minimum most of the time. It's not that exciting. Let's see, I mean, we took take Creeped Out, which is the speed hate that has a little bit of anti-breaker on it to get that going. I wonder how big of a premium these speed hate foundations are going to end up being. I think for this one, we'll just take the combo, take the attack that does damage, and we'll have plenty of time to figure out, you know, finding foundations. So we have the player that's opened Hawks and Velocity Rush. Once again, just checking the attacks. There's very little exciting attack-wise in this pile, so we're probably just going to take the most interesting foundation we can see. Number 5 Pro Hero is certainly an interesting call. Hatsume Design, we were just talking about that. It's probably going to be one of those two here. Not quite sure how we wanna balance these. But I think, you know, without knowing too much about the format, at the least number 5 Pro Hero denying some momentum, maybe blowing up Echo, you know, Velocity Rush is going to be in this format. This is a good counter to that. I think we are going to prioritize this Pro Hero and take that. And then we have our person who's the closest to knowing who their character is, who's the best Genus, who has an Airy Smiles already. He's a little interested in specifically ranged attacks, so we might bias towards that. We have EX combos. And Fiber Web Capture is a fine card. Don't know if we have any mega compelling foundations or anything here. Return of the King is certainly good. Dangerous Hybrid's certainly good. This is a little bit where I know there's like a bunch of Dangerous Hybrids in these packs, so I'm lower prioritizing it, but for all we know, we might not see another one. And then, but we are, you know, again, we're not locking into Genus, but we are aware that that may be where we end up. He's certainly better than a number of other characters that we might open. So I'm going to be a little bit biased towards him and take the card, you know, between these two, right? If we were thinking between these two, I think this is the one that we're a little bit more likely to be able to play, because we're, you know, maybe 2 in 3 chance we end up on Genus at the end of this. So we'll take that, and then we'll do one more pick each. So we already have a Spam Foundation up here and a Gusty Buffet. This might be the player that goes and grabs that Dangerous Hybrid. And it's plus speed. You know, these attacks are, none of these are huge. Hula Hoop is nice for sure, but we'll be seeing more of those, I would think. Return of the King is an option here, but I think this one's going to go ahead and take that hybrid. You just have to remember, this is a 2 difficulty foundation that lets you spend your momentum usefully, which is something that can be at a premium and limited. And I don't know if it is in this set or not. You know, we could come out the other side of this and look over all the commons and uncommons and be like, oh, there's not really a problem spending momentum, but typically you end up wanting for momentum spenders. So this deck already has taken 2 beefy attacks, is very, very not at all committed to its character. We would like to start getting some foundations here. Nothing too exciting foundation-wise. You know, Heroic Passion, if we oops into some way to, you know, force it committed or just have this as like a cool anti-stun. There's not that much stun in this set. A common or uncommon. I'd hate to just take 1-man Inferno. But we could take Surprising Skill. As just like a nice, decent spam. Just get one, get our first spam. We're going to have to get a bunch of that sooner or later. Heroic Passion's not that exciting, so we're going to go ahead and take Surprising Skill here. Alright, then we have our Velocity Rush Pro Hero. Has Hawks, but probably won't play it player. And the snap out of it is still in here. You know, they don't know what's been passed for this, but they can assume that this card is going to be a gamble to take in draft, because you have to know that you're going to be a student and then know that you're going to have flips that you care about. Strength and Beauty is not a bad one. Kind of a useful card. We might take the Hula Hoop here, though. Or the Gently Rebound. We already have an Echo move. This will give us momentum if we're able to play both Velocity and Gently Rebound. Dangerous Hybrid is also here. And Speed Hate Foundation. We don't know how much of a priority this throw is going to be. See, we don't really have any guidance on symbols yet. But I think I'm gonna lean spam. I'm gonna assume that these -2 speed spams are gonna be pretty high priority and go ahead and take the creeped out. So just to make sure. So you're probably gonna want to have, you know, a couple, if you can pick up like 3 of those minus speed spams and just make your blocking life easier, especially depending on the character you're playing. You know, if you are playing a Jiro, then obviously you don't care about them that much, but there are plenty of characters that aren't going to have speed hate on their face, right? And so this is our person who is already sort of leaning their way into Genus here a little bit. You know, once again, we have a minus speed spam that Genus can play. That may be just where we're going. This Seal's probably not going to be that exciting in this format. The No Remorse isn't that bad. You can draw more cards on defense. Genus can't play it though, so yeah, I think we're gonna, you know, lean into spam that we can play that has the -2 speed on it. Genus only gives 1 attack, -2 speed cards like this certainly help him. And this player doesn't have to be forcing Genus for this whole pack, but they sort of might as well, and see what happens with the next couple packs. So these are going to be the first few picks of these, and then, you know, obviously more cards are going to get picked and are going to sort of inform what we're taking later. But for now, just to show some example picks, we're just going to do that and imagine that, you know, these have gotten sort of assorted stuff throughout the rest of the pack that, depending, you know, that this player probably keeps taking things that mostly share with Genus. This player is already hard committing to taking stuff at complete random. This player's a little in between. They happen to have taken 2 cards that Jiro can play so far, but they're probably also not too attached to the character, and same with this one. So let's see what the second character up here is. This is not going to be a good audio only video for sure. Ryukyu. So that's interesting, and we didn't see a single blank. Okay, well, there's a Fierce Wings in here. I think we're gonna be all right. So we have to take we're taking the Ryukyu no matter what, right? So that's our second character option. Is this pile could be Jiro or Ryukyu. We don't have any blank attacks, but we could say, you know, that's good enough. I'm going to start forcing it. But if we haven't seen a blank attack yet, right, in all of our first pack, and we open Ryukyu, we might think she's already taken, right? So we're gonna look at the rest of this pack for fun, but we're taking Fierce Wings, because, you know, let's be real, until one of these is a min-max competitive event, and for the same reason someone might have taken the XR starter exclusive, but Fierce Wings is for sure just getting grabbed, and it's certainly a good card to have in your draft, right? It's an Omni block if nothing else. So that was a pretty easy pick there. Our other person who has Jiro and a random pile is going to get their second character. So this player might end up in an awkward space if they don't get a good third character. So at this point, they might start thinking, you know, unless I start seeing a bunch of blanks. Right? I think Jiro can play Ryukyu's blanks anyway, so that it's kind of good to just, might not be bad to just scoop those up. So the second character over here is Asui, and this we can do. This we can play with. There's certainly nothing wrong with just shipping Asui in draft. You have +1 damage and everything's not that great, but you have all sorts of card economy, right? And you've got the pool clear. So if you just make sure that your stuff lines up, I need to figure out some spacing here. Alright, so we have Asui. We'll be pretty happy if we can pick cards that Asui can play. 1000 Sheep Pierce Asui cannot play. Certainly a fine card to have in your draft deck. Do we have any other? We don't have any, so can we play? We cannot play Binging Balls. So this is a little bit awkward. We don't have any. We're thinking we might be playing Asui. We're probably more likely to play Asui than Jiro, but we don't have any particular standouts unless we're thinking Queen Beam, which is, you know, it's a 6 damage move, and they're gonna try to want to block it, and you're gonna get to draw a card. We have Rescue Specialists though, so here's where we might think, you know, if we hard commit to Asui and try to get a few of these, this gives all of your attacks +1 speed. There aren't too many characters besides Asui that want this card. If we are in a true 4-person pod, we maybe think that this is going to table and take something else to start. And in that case, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Queen Beam here. Worst case scenario, we can plop it down, draw a card, pick it back up if we really want to. We probably don't want to do that. We're probably just going to ship it though, and see if they block it and we ready our character. All right, down here, the first character was Hawks. We probably took a bunch of assorted stuff. And our second character is Hood, who is certainly going to have the damage output. We could lean into Hood. Well, I shouldn't say certainly he's going to have damage output. He's going to have some damage output, right? That is another character similar to Hawks, where you might be inclined to sort of target some of the cards with Hood's face on him and start leaning into that a little bit. We have vast strength here, not too hyper relevant. So we should be passing these the other way, shouldn't we? Yeah, there we go. This goes this way, this goes this way. But what do we take is the question. So if we might be playing Hood, we're certainly going to want some attacks that have high speed or things that can get speed. Shrouded Strike qualifies, but Hood can't play it. Again, we don't want to corner ourselves into playing Hood. If one of these was way better than the others, we would just take it. But I don't think that's necessarily the case here. So we might as well take a card that Hood can play, right? And Hood has Earth, Evil, and Void, which I guess Dragon Crash is playable. Which isn't that great, because we were hoping to get some of the faster moves, but so this becomes a tough pick, right? Do we have any really, good, exciting foundations? Not particularly. So we could, depending on how we feel about the feathers or that we saw or did not see in pack 1, we could still just be thinking about Hawks here. But this could be a pack where we just go ahead and take the Dragon Crash and ship it. And this is sort of the hard part about drafting Ryukyu, is that Dragon Crash is just a finely statted move that people might just take. So this is getting passed this way. And the second pack for our just best Genius player, let's see if they get another good character that's really going to tempt them off of this. It's another Hood. Alright, we probably would rather be Genius than Hood, especially with, we've already biased our picks a little bit towards Genius, so we're just going to go ahead and keep doing that. And if our third character changed their mind, but we're not too mad about whatever the outcome. Titan Cliff we can't play. Tongue Capture is a kind of a neat card for Genius if we can find a way to draw some cards. We have the Air Force style, which he can certainly play. That is a good one. There's not going to be... Readying is not going to be as rampant in draft, but it does commit to draw a card if they play a stun or an echo or something like that. And Genius kind of wants to draw cards. Obviously, his face ability rewards him with a card draw for a reason, because he's discarding cards for his ability. There's plenty of good choices here, though. Elasticity is a good card. Good damage up, down. Titan Cliff's not playable. Viral Cosmos is, more in the space of card draw. It is a ranged attack. That one might get back around to us, perhaps. I think we might be inclined to take the Air Force style here. It's not that big of a deal, though, just like the conditional commit draw. Sometimes it'll just never get to do that. Maybe we should just take a nice attack. And this is going to kind of depend on what else we got in our first pack, how attack heavy we were, perhaps. But I'm going to say that, and we can also take the nice 6-check spam. We are already playing Airy Smiles. This gives us a 6-check to put on top of our deck, theoretically. So that's an interesting choice, but I think we're gonna pull the Viral Cosmos here, and without more information about. Well, so that's passing this way. So we're passing this way. So our UQ Jiro player, who's maybe thinking about the former a little bit here, gets this pack, does not see a blank. Still not sure. Might be thinking at this point that being pushed into Jiro is going to be something that's on the table. Maybe bias that picks a little bit towards that. Jiro being, good life water. Anything with life both characters can play, so that's a plus. But we could... So Dance Routine's a fine card. Fashion Icon. Again, I don't know how great this is working out, given not having gone through the entire first packs. This might be a situation where we take the 1000 Sheet Pierce. It's not 4 speed, which Jiro 1 wants, but discard 1, draw 2 to try to make your hands work better is just pretty good. So yeah, I think this one's gonna take the Pierce, I think, and then it gets passed this way. And then we have our newfound Aswi 3 player. So we have Shrouded Strike's not a bad one to put a damage on. We can play all of these moves. Air Force Blasts might be where we're going though. Just good solid stat move. Again, you know, if we've continued to draft a million attacks in the first pack and it turns out that Aswi can play him, that's one thing. We do have a card with Aswi's face on it. That is a pretty good spam. So if we're attack heavy, we might take this. And we'll just assume that this is representative actually, and we might see more Air Force Blasts. Maybe we need foundations at this point. And we could certainly take... We cannot play Hatsume's Designs in Aswi. Probably just going to go ahead and take the problem solving. And then we pass this. And then our Hood Hawks player here. Still not really sure what they want to do, per se. We have a high difficulty... A big high difficulty move for Hood to be playing. We're probably just grabbing that on the chance that we are in fact playing Hood. We're probably going to want some moves like Titan Cliff in our deck. None of these foundations are so huge. You know, we like Air Force style. If we do go Hood, we can't play it. If we go Hawks, we also can't play it. So that would be a bit of a reach to take that. So we're going to grab the Titan Cliff for our potentially Hood player here. And our almost certainly Genus player. So up here, we're looking for range moves with good foundations, stuff to help defend ourselves with. So we have... Frozen Slide is a range. It is a good range to block with, which is something that he likes. Then he can play that card. He can't play any of the other attacks. We could go ahead and take Return of the Kings as a nice defensive foundation. Gold Tips Imperial is an interesting one. Probably not something we're too excited about grabbing. I think we're probably more likely to see Frozen Slides come around later than we are Return of the Kings, so we're going to take that here. And pass this way. So this is the final pick, well, the third pick of this pack for the UK player. Remember, this is going to be a 6-pack draft, so it feels like we're deep and we're like trying to soft commit to things, but you still really don't have to feel bad about changing which way you're leaning this early into the draft. And I say that because we're going to see an Air Force Blast as a 3rd pick and a Vast Strength, right? So now we have to be thinking, if there's another Ryukyu with this Force Person pot, it has to be the person to this side. It has to be this one, right? Because there's no way that both of these cards get through to, you know, if one of them is thinking Ryukyu. So given that's the case, you know, maybe we are changing our minds and shifting around a little bit that we might very well be going Ryukyu, and Jiro can play this Air Force Blast anyway. I'm not sure. You'd have to have an idea of like the powerful count to decide if you should take Vast Strength if you're drafting Ryukyu, but for where we are right now, we don't. If this is our first blank, then we're taking it. And then that pack is done. And then we have a person that is... So this player is for the rest of this pack is thinking a little bit more about... There's a decent chance that I'm going to end up on Ryukyu. They're going to keep looking through the pack. They're probably going to notice that perhaps some other Ryukyu-friendly cards come back to them. And so they're, depending on their 3rd pack, they're not going to feel too bad about hard committing to Ryukyu from here. This player is sort of soft committing to Asui, but could very well end up playing something nicer in the next pack. Tongue Capture and Frog Stomp are nice to see here. It's certainly more likely that the Frog Stomp is going to come back around. And again, we took a nice foundation last one. We are aware that we might end up needing some foundations, but we're going to take the very, very excellent card with our likely character's face on it. This player is probably in the worst shape right now. They have Velocity Rush, but they don't you don't necessarily really want to be Hood in draft, but you know, can we at least get some? We got some nice Hood specific cards here. this is probably a Berserker Bite angle, almost certainly for sure. We'll see some high end circling around. We'll see some Summon Nomu circling around. We're gonna, again, we're gonna need to find some foundations. This is what I mean about overdrafting attacks, because even in these first few picks, usually the attacks that feel good for whatever you're planning or tentatively planning are going to be more impactful than grabbing the foundations. So as the packs go on, in later packs, you can see people just like passing the good attacks because oops, we really need foundations, right? And then last, our very likely Genus player. Don't really have any good ranged attacks to grab, so we're just going to grab the nicest foundation we can see. That is, we are probably almost certainly getting Fashion Icon here, I would think. Dance Routine is a good one. But, more Speed Hate, nice mid block. We could be back and forth between these, but we're just going to take the Fashion Icon here. Alright, so now our last pack. So when we open these packs, we're going to try to, for each of these players, so to say, we're going to really try to hard commit to a character once we see the one in here. I'm sliding off. Oh, this player's, pretty committed already, but you never know. So, for our last pack, for the player who has opened Ryukyu and Jiro, they open a Kamui Woods. Okay, so this is our Ryukyu player. For sure, right? This player is now hard committing. Between these three, we're playing Ryukyu, and we're, unless somewhere along the way we found, Jiro's win condition or like 2 copies of it. We did open Jiro's base as a normal rare, which it is very interesting. It gives us that one last chance to swap to Jiro here, but we have a Dragon Dive. There's a Dragon Power here. We've seen some Ryukyu cards flying around the table, and we're just gonna ship this. We're gonna believe that we can force Ryukyu to happen here and take this Dragon Dive. Alright, now we have a player that is starting to lean Asui. And they open a Kami. There's doesn't seem to be too much of a compelling reason to play Kami over Asui, so this player is also going to stick with that second pack character open, the Asui. And we're going to start looking for stuff that Asui really likes. Do we have anything? We have a League Handler. That is very likely what we're taking. Nice XR lightweight Scowl. XRs looks really, really good in this set. We have a Canyon Cannon. So this is tempting, right? We have a huge move, and we have a Hell Spider, which we can't play. So, but we can play Canyon Cannon. We can play League Handler. We have a huge move or a huge Don't Die button. This might depend on what other things that we've taken, but I think for our purposes, we're gonna imagine that we're gonna want the League Handler here. All right, and this is a player that is perhaps would really like to open a more exciting character. Let's see what they find. We have Hawks in Hood and another Hawks. So, this player, unless, maybe they've been scooping up the rogue feathers at the ends of some of these packs, but with what we've seen so far, we're just figuring that we're probably going to be Hood at this point. We have another Velocity Rush, though. You can certainly be Hood if you're going to get all the Velocity Rushes. That is probably a no-brainer. Yeah, just take the Velocity Rush. And pass this on over here. These piles aren't that visible. At this point, they're getting a little crowded. That's okay. And these packs should get pretty quick from this point. I'm glad I decided to only do like 3 packs and 3 picks, because this is gonna hit the long one range. So our Genus Hood person opens Endeavor. The rich get richer. This is you could certainly play Endeavor over Genus if your picks have aligned you that way thus far, but we've been kind of soft, not very soft committing to Genus so far, and I don't think there's too big of a reason to change it. You can win limited games just by having more cards than them. And we did open a Hell Spider, which is certainly a little push in the direction of swapping, but Provisional Pursuit, also very good for Mr. Genus. And so, as the best GS drafter, you're going to be looking for not only ranged attack and ranged attacks with good stats, but any stats you can find on foundations, right? This might be a player that's, I don't believe it can play the dangerous hybrid, but anything like that that can put a little more stats on your moves might be interesting from your foundation base. So we'd probably open that endeavor. We'd probably look at the 20 cards we have and think about, do I actually have a way to make this pivot? Out of the stuff we've gotten so far, only the speed hate. Yeah, only the -2 speed foundation is actually playable in Endeavor, so we're gonna assume that we're stuck on Genus, and then in that case we certainly take Provisional Pursuit. And then up here, this is a Ryukyu player. This, the Ryukyu picks are gonna be pretty easy, given how specific her needs are. If you see a blank attack, you take the blank attack. If you don't see the blank attack, then you figure it out. She can play Hell Spider though, and that is high enough powered attack. It's not any compelling reason to take anything else. Again, these look like attack heavy drafts, but like I said at the top, I kind of want to prioritize really good attacks, and then most foundations, and then the okay attacks, and that's sort of how I'm hoping that we would get to a nice mix of cards taken. Our Asui player. Do we have any big obvious Asui cards here? We don't even have attacks in this pack left, it turns out. So we could take Jiro's Bass. It lets you turn your momentum into +1 speed, +3 damage. If we happen to play an attack with more speed than damage, we might evaluate if we have very many of those. We might not. And then we're just to see, is there anything... This is not a very compelling pack for our Asui player. The answer is probably just this multitasking. It is a net +1 damage, basically, if they're trying to block your moves. I think that's where we're going here. Yeah. And then, our Hood player, whatever they're doing with their life. We have two Velocity Rush. We're kind of interested in those. We're pretty interested in Canyon Cannon. Certainly not playing Arbor. Yeah. So we could certainly take Hell Spider, but the thing about the Hood is that we're probably not playing, big strings. Probably just gonna go ahead and slam the Canyon Cannon. We got this like high overload thing going on with our Velocity Rushes and Titan Cliff and now Canyon Cannon, giving us some chances to mill a big one. And then for our Genus over here, these piles are getting chaotic. That's okay. Our second pick for this pack. Again, the first thing we're doing is checking for playable range. So we don't have any here. We can't play Quirks. Number 2 Pro Hero for a Pro Hero's not that exciting. Fearless Frog is a pretty good one. And that might be where we're going here. No, it's not. We can't play that one either. It's all death or good. So we're actually a little limited on our playables in this particular pile. It's just these three. That probably means we take the 0 diff and move on with our life, because neither of those other two are very likely to be playable. And then for our final picks, Ryukyu sees Dragon Power and takes it. Just gonna do these pretty quickly. Asui still kind of on the hunt for attacks, and still not finding any, so that's gonna be the last 3 packs. She's gonna, depending on the rest of the first 2, she might actually be hunting for some moves she can play. Aircast, so we could play Activating Hood, which is, it's an E-commit +2 damage. Which is kind of fine for this format. That's something you can play with a straight face in Limited, is just like, I want to put some damage on this one. I don't think any of these other ones are too hyper compelling. We cannot play number 7 Pro Hero. So yeah, we're just going to take Hood here. Hood for our Hood player. This is the Foundation Heavy pack here. We are Earth Evil Void. Defying Fate is almost certainly what we're going to go with here. We could take Irritated. We'd have to look at our Fury attack count, but this is probably a pretty good one for HUD, where if you hit the big bomb on, you know, the +5 damage on one of your Fury moves, you can say, okay, this one I want to give 2 speed. So maybe depending on how many speed hits we've picked up so far, we'd be picking between these two. I'm just gonna go ahead and say we'll take Irritated here. Still, you know, the -2 speeds commit for 2 on blocking. This commits for 1 on blocking still if you needed to, right? And then for Genist, you know, the Hell Spider he unfortunately can't play. A card with our face on it, which is fine for him. Arbor's not a bad one. We already have 1 action in Airy Smiles, but Arbor is +4 damage if you know you're going to land it. That can be pretty potent. And Stylish Strike isn't that good. So we're certainly, and are any of these foundations, Broken Endurance we can't play. Number 7 we could play. That's a fine card. Take to the Sky is a fine card, but I think I'm going to go ahead and prioritize getting the Arbor in here. We can't really take any more actions, but that's a good card for Genus. Anything we were talking before is going to be looking for ways that can make him count that damage up, right? And there you have it. So that is an attempted talk through of some draft picks. I think this went okay. It is every bit as long as I imagined it was going to be, I guess. But yeah, let me know in the comments if this was at all interesting to you, if you do any drafts for your pre-release and talk about how they went. If you have other approaches to draft, anything you think I was doing that you think is kind of crazy. It's probably you get some conversations going about this draft format just in case. You know, we know it was they put draft pretty high up there on their formats announcement as something that they might do as a premier event format, so we should probably start thinking about it a little bit. Yeah, until the next time, have a good night.